Bella, he's going to Italy, to the Volturi.
Cut. Good.
That is a camera wrap. That's a camera wrap, everybody.
Yes! Camera wrap, thank you very much, everyone.
We're done shooting. We are in the editorial process, and now we are looking at visual effects as they're slotted in.
Post-production. Post-production, and we don't have enough time for it, but we got along really well, just had great communication.
Collaboration-wise, I think what we all tended to do was we would go our own separate way for a little bit and think about how we should do it, and then we would all come together with our over-the-top suggestions and try to make it work for the other guy, and that's when we got the really neat creative moments.
We are shooting the green screen element of Victoria diving, escaping the wolves into the water. We're doing what they call Russian swing. We've got the stunt woman up there swinging, diving into an airbag.
Look, my stunt double Atlin made me a t-shirt that says Team Victoria. How awesome is that?
Atlin is our stunt double for Rochelle. This is her first show. She's a Cirque du Soleil performer that wanted to become a stunt performer, and she's been just phenomenal. Well, I've actually been surprised at how much action there was. As soon as we started putting things together and creating, it just seemed like there were plenty of opportunities. So we ended up doing a lot more and really pumping up the action on this show.
Today we're at Vancouver Film Studios, shooting an element for the cliff diving sequence.
This was always going to be the most logistically complicated thing to do in terms of putting together the final shots. It involves CG water, no easy task. We have the actual cliff called Parthenon, which second unit shot with doubles. You have the edge of the cliff, which is actually Capilano Dam in North Vancouver. We have a stunt woman who jumps into an inflatable green bag from a great height.
My name is Laura Connery. I'm a stunt woman. I'm here today to do a 70-foot high fall. And 70 feet is pretty high.
When we shoot a stunt like this, we always want to look out for safety first.
3, 2, 1, go.
She is free falling. She's got no wires on her, and the camera connected to it are winch lines, and that's operated by controls that we'll have by the monitor. It'll look like the camera is dropping as fast as she is.
Roll camera. Here we go. Ready. 3, 2, 1, go.
So you're talking about 6 or 7 different elements that are combined to make one seamless shot.
I like it. We check it.
We were faced with the need to match certain locations which had originally been shot in Portland, and there are 2 ways that you can do that. One is you just rebuild something, which is what we did with Bella's house. We built the exterior of Bella's house on an actual patch of land outside of Vancouver, which looked enough like the place established in the first movie. But if you look inside, it's largely just kind of raw lumber. And then the interiors are actually done on stage. Or you can do a matte painting composed of digital stills. We shot an entire scene in a parking lot, which was meant to be the parking lot of the high school, which was used in the first film.
Jake. Hello, biceps.
We're at a parking lot in Vancouver that is going to be Forks High School.
So wherever you see green there, that's going to be replaced with the high school.
There were extras walking to nowhere, and then you composite in the stills, which have then been turned into 3D model of the architecture of the school. And so when it actually comes down to it, you can even see students entering the school, and there's pretty much no way to tell the difference.
The vampire skin effect, that's the big one for us.
Well, Edward has so-called diamond skin, and the idea is that he's made of, as all vampires are, made of sort of a sparkly marble.
It's a difficult effect because, first of all, Rob is pretty easy to look at to begin with, and as soon as you start messing with his face, you can very easily get into a point where it's not beautiful, where in fact it looks like a skin problem.
We were trying to make it look as If there was something kind of underneath the skin that is actually reflecting this instead of this being just slapped on top.
We looked at a piece of marble, which is a kind of marble that you might even use in kitchen countertops. And when you turn it in the light, each of these facets will catch the light and shine it for a very brief moment, so it creates a sparkly effect. So we were trying to sort of imitate the look and feel of that kind of marble.
Action.
And we'll actually shoot Rob in the environment, but we'll put a lot of tracking dots on his face and chest and hands wherever we see his skin in the sunlight. And we've scanned his face and body.
So we built a 3D version of him, basically. I got to stare at lots of Edward reference for a while. I might be the envy of some people for that. And basically, we created a 3D version of him, tracked all the shots where he had diamond skin, and then our effects artist did effects on the 3D geometry, and we just put it on top of him.
It's a very delicate balance of finding something that gets the feeling that Stephanie described of diamonds, you know, glistening in the sun.
You will feel nothing. I don't believe it.
We also helped establish some of the vampire speed look. Vampire speed was kind of a weird fluke. They shot the shots at varying speeds, and not really sure, I think, at the time they were shooting how it was going to get treated in the end. We submitted at one point a daily with a broken comp on it, where there was some weird smudging and blurring, and the director kind of latched onto that and liked that look. And when we went to try to reproduce it, it was a busted script, and we couldn't reproduce it. So we had to launch back into kind of trying to recreate this look. And we ended up with something a little bit different, but that's kind of was the genesis of it.
For the wolves, you try to deliver a character who can express emotions without it being sort of cartoony. And that's what Tippett's people are great at.
The material calls for these things not to be like histrionic or hyperactive classical monster movie werewolves. They have to behave, you know, like real wolves in the field, except they're 3 or 4 times the size of normal wolves.
Our job is to basically climb inside the skin and find out what it is to be a wolf.
The pre-work started with actually going out and trying to find some real wolves that we could get some good, solid reference off of.
These are the timber wolves that we basically got to hang out with, and you don't quite get their scale until you're standing next to them, and they are really foreboding characters.
You could really see the dynamic, and you had the alpha that was very personable and kind of the ambassador, and then you had the beta that was like a little more mischievous. You couldn't turn your back on that one and take your hat or your cell phone or whatever. And then the third one was always a little bit skittish. That was really interesting, that just purely animal dynamic.
As they are personifying the minds of the human characters, these things actually have to impart what the actors were bringing to the roles as well.
They're built from the inside out, so basically a skeletal system, you know, is created that has, you know, moving joints that can be animated. And on top of that, there's muscles that can flex, and skin, layer of skin, and then fur.
Each wolf has a set of these features that we've built into it to individualize them. We went through several iterations of kind of scaling different features, making some ears more pointy, longer, shorter, snout longer, shorter.
I think there's a balance between getting caught up in the minutia and trying to get the character right. And there were a lot of parts, like there's a different fur type all over a wolf, from his mane to his tail to his back to his flank.
And that's actually was one of the more satisfying parts of this picture for me, was watching our engineers work with our artists to kind of get our fur tool to do what it needed. It was a really wonderful collaboration.
Each of the scenes was significantly different, so it's taking all of this technology and you work on it until you get what you need to do the job.
One of the kind of thrills for us is when it's finally released, to get that response. It's always a little bit of a surprise.
We want the work to look great. We want everybody to love the work, and they weren't ever drawn out of the movie because visual effects or whatever.
Visual effects are not like about being flashy or saying this shot is cool for the sake of being cool. It's very much about getting the story across.
It's great that we can give them something, you know, a little bit of entertainment in between, but this is a movie about the interrelationship between the 3 lead actors.
I firmly believe that less is more. You know, that you want to leave the audience wanting And if you get the right shots with the right choreography, the scenes fill themselves out and they feel bigger, you know, in the mind, and you just don't fit. Okay, stop it, turn it off, I want to go home.
I just have enjoyed the whole process. I've had more fun doing this than anything that I've done in recent memory. So yeah, it's just been exciting, and I hope the people love it.